Amid Iran's hesitation over the next phase of diplomacy, Washington is moving ahead with a fresh push for talks in Switzerland. After weeks of uncertainty, Steve Witkoff is now heading to Switzerland as the Trump administration explores a potential new round of negotiations with Iran. With Witkoff on the way and Jared Kushner already in Switzerland, expectations are growing that high-stakes diplomacy could resume soon. As Qatar throws its weight behind dialogue and de-escalation, the future of the U.S. Iran agreement may depend on whether both sides can return to the negotiating table. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is heading to Switzerland as Washington explores the possibility of a new round of talks with Iran. The visit comes as both sides try to build on the recent memorandum of understanding and keep diplomacy on track. According to U.S. officials, the first round of discussions could focus on a broader agreement covering Iran's nuclear program. However, officials have not yet confirmed whether a new date has been finalized for the negotiations. Trump envoy Jared Kushner is already in Switzerland ahead of the expected diplomatic meetings. The presence of two senior Trump envoys has fueled growing speculation that negotiations could begin sooner rather than later. For now, neither Washington nor Tehran has officially announced when the next round of talks will actually start. Iranian officials had previously refused to attend the talks while Israeli military operations in Lebanon were still ongoing. Tehran maintained that attacks against Hezbollah had to stop before any negotiations could move forward, according to reports. That stance threw the Swiss diplomatic process into uncertainty, despite the recently signed U.S. Iran agreement. However, U.S. and regional sources say Israel and Hezbollah have since agreed to renew their ceasefire, potentially clearing a path for talks to resume. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman held high-level talks with Swiss Foreign Minister Ignazio Casas in Buggenstock. The discussions focused on the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding and its implications for regional stability and security. Notably, the meeting took place at the same location where American and Iranian delegations had been expected to hold negotiations. According to reports, Qatar reaffirmed its support for continued dialogue between Washington and Tehran. Doha emphasized that negotiations remain the most effective path for resolving outstanding disputes and preventing further escalation. The U.S.-Iran memorandum has created a 60-day window for both sides to negotiate a broader and more permanent agreement. Major issues, including nuclear restrictions, sanctions relief, and regional security arrangements, still remain unresolved. Switzerland is now emerging as the focal point of the next phase of U.S.-Iran diplomacy. The success or failure of these negotiations could determine whether the historic agreement ultimately survives. For now, all eyes are on Switzerland as Washington and Tehran prepare for the next chapter of high-stakes talks. The diplomatic push comes after Steve Witkoff revealed that Iran is preparing to invite the UN's nuclear watchdog to inspect its nuclear facilities. A day after the landmark MoU was signed, a top Trump envoy revealed a major new development involving Iran's nuclear program. Steve Witkoff says Iran may soon invite the UN's nuclear watchdog to inspect key nuclear facilities across the country. The move could launch a major international effort to locate, verify, and track Iran's stockpile of enriched nuclear material. Witkoff disclosed the plan during a private briefing with congressional leaders as implementation of the new agreement begins. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff told lawmakers that the U.S.-Iran memorandum contains no secret side agreements. However, Witkoff revealed that a separate letter was drafted between Tehran and the IAEA. According to the briefing, the letter formally extended an invitation for nuclear inspections inside Iran. The invitation would allow IAEA inspectors to begin examining Iranian nuclear sites under the proposed framework. Inspectors are expected to focus on locating and verifying Iran's stockpile of enriched nuclear material. The whereabouts of parts of Tehran's nuclear inventory have remained an unanswered question for international monitors. Finding and accounting for that material is expected to become a key objective of the inspection effort. According to Witkoff, the letter was addressed to IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi. The arrangement could allow Grossi to organize a new inspection mission inside Iran. Witkoff also indicated that American nuclear experts could participate in the verification process. This would mark one of the most significant international inspections of Iran's nuclear program in years. Nuclear verification is emerging as one of the first major tests of the new U.S. Iran agreement. Both sides are now entering a 60-day period aimed at negotiating a broader final settlement. U.S. President Donald Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian have formally signed the Memorandum of Understanding. The 14-point agreement is designed to end hostilities between the two countries and reopen the Strait of Hormuz to normal navigation. The memorandum establishes a 60-day ceasefire period during which both sides will pursue negotiations on a broader final agreement. Trump signed the document during a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris on June 18. Meanwhile, President Pezeshkian signed the memorandum in Iran, completing the process from Tehran's side. The agreement begins with a region-wide ceasefire, aiming to halt hostilities and lay the groundwork for a permanent end to the conflict. Both sides have pledged to respect each other's sovereignty and avoid interference in internal affairs, signaling a shift toward de-escalation. Washington and Tehran have set a 60-day deadline to negotiate a broader final agreement, with an option to extend talks if needed. The United States has agreed to begin lifting its naval blockade, while Iran will gradually restore normal shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has agreed to ensure free and safe passage for commercial vessels traveling between the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman for a limited period of 60 days. The memorandum outlines plans for a massive $300 billion economic development initiative aimed at supporting Iran's recovery. The United States has agreed in principle to discuss sanctions relief as part of a broader and mutually accepted final settlement. Iran has reaffirmed that it will not pursue nuclear weapons, while both sides work on a framework for managing enriched uranium. Until a final agreement is reached, Iran will maintain its current nuclear activities and the US will avoid new sanctions or military deployments. The agreement allows for sanctions waivers that could enable Iranian oil exports and related financial services to resume. Both sides will explore pathways toward financial normalization, including discussions on frozen assets and economic access. Once initial commitments are implemented, negotiations will expand to address all remaining issues required for a lasting settlement. Progress toward a final agreement will depend on both sides demonstrating compliance with ceasefire and maritime obligations. Any final agreement is expected to be submitted to the United Nations Security Council for international legal backing and enforcement.